Despite a number of brushes with the law over the past couple decades, Snoop Dogg has always managed to walk the line between Gangstar Rap Super Star to family-friendly entertainer. His career has spanned over 3 decades, which include 18 studio albums, and he's given us classics like Beautiful, Drop It Like It's Hot, and Gin and Juice. He's also transitioned into becoming an unlikely Hollywood lead, appearing in films like Starsky Hutch, The Wash, and Training Day. He's worked with and collaborated with everybody from Katy Perry to Suge Knight, and he also has a very strange but kinda cool BFF relationship with none other than Martha Stewart. If you are finding out about Snoop Dogg now, following his Super Bowl halftime show performance, or you're a longtime fan who just wants to know the intricate details about his come up, then stay tuned to this brand new episode of Famous Life. Snoop Dogg was born Cortazar Calvin Brodus Jr. in Long Beach, California on October 20th, 1971. Speaking of names, he actually got his nickname Snoop Dogg pretty early on in life. His mother gave it to him after realizing that he looked an awful lot like Snoopy from the Peanuts cartoon. Snoop was a musically inclined youngster and played piano and sang at his local Baptist church from a young age. He started rapping around 6th grade. Snoop graduated high school, but after that, trouble started to follow him around everywhere he went. He was arrested several times for drug possession and spent time in prison. He was also associated with the Rollin' 20 Crips gang. In order to find a way out of his troubles, Snoop started making music. He recorded early demos with his cousin Nate Dogg and friend Warren G as a hip-hop trio called 213. Eventually, one of their tracks came to the attention of Dr. Dre, who then invited Snoop to collaborate with him on a song titled Cover for the soundtrack of a film with the same name. When Dr. Dre released his hugely successful album The Chronic in 1992, Snoop was a key rapper who was heavily featured. It was around this time that Snoop signed to Death Row Records, the label founded by Dre and Suge Knight. Snoop was now primed for the release of his first solo album, the Dre-produced Doggy Style, in 1993. The album climbed its way to the #1 spot on Billboard's hip hop and top 200 charts based on the strength of singles like Who I Am and, of course, Gin and Juice. Next, Snoop acted in the Dr. Dre directed short film called Murder Was the Case, in which Snoop is murdered and then resurrected after making a deal with the devil. Snoop was a big fan of horror movies, and you can clearly see that influence here. Snoop is pretty big on filmmaking in general. He's even made his own adult films, and I can imagine, based on his debut album title name, that you could probably imagine what the main position in those films are. In 1996, he released The Dogfather, which also made its way to the top of the charts despite the absence of Dr. Dre, who had left Death Row Records by this time over an increasing disdain for the violent ways in which Suge was running the business and putting his clients in dangerous situations. One such example was Snoop finding himself on trial for the murder of an alleged gang member that was shot and killed by someone who was in the same vehicle as Snoop. Snoop was eventually acquitted, but if he had been found guilty, he would have been locked away for 11 years. At this point, Snoop was growing tired of Suge's violent ways too, and no longer wanted to feature it as heavily in his music. He told VH1 in 2011, "The Dogfather was a rebirth for me. I'm not gonna glorify none of this negativity that Death Row wanted me to do. I'm gonna bring a positive side of music." As such, The Dogfather was Snoop's last record for Death Row. He then hooked up with Master P's No Limit Records. After this, Snoop became more outspoken about his disdain for Suge. He once told BET, "I was working against the devil." Snoop truly kept the same energy throughout his feud with Suge, who would be in and out of prison, but the two would constantly go at each other in media and sometimes even songs. Eventually, Suge went back to prison in 2004, and Snoop would continue to release music. In 2004, he enjoyed a renaissance of sorts. After releasing the hit single Drop It Like It's Hot with Pharrell Williams, that same year he reunited with Warren G and Nate Dogg as 213 to drop the album The Hard Way. He also started popping up in films like Training Day, The Wash, and Starsky Hutch. By 2007, he even had his own reality show on E! Called Snoop Dogg's Fatherhood. The series featured his wife and high school sweetheart, Shantae Taylor, who he remarried in 1997. It also featured his children. In 2012, Snoop decided to change his name to Snoop Lion and adapted a Rastafarian lifestyle. However, this era of Snoop's was pretty short-lived. Over the past few years, Snoop has managed to keep himself in the spotlight, whether it's with new music, new TV shows, or creating digital content, like him and Kevin Hart going viral for poking fun at the Island Boys, or his hilarious commentary during the Jake Paul fights. He's also had some recent back and forth with Tekashi 6ix9ine that went on for more than a minute. His Instagram posts content on the daily, keeping him in contact with his fans, and now that he's in his 50s, he's landed a gig that he calls a dream come true. Snoop is slated to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show alongside Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, Dr. Dre, and Mary J. Blige, which has created a lot of anticipation, especially after the cinematic trailer that Pepsi dropped to hype it up. In February of 2002, Snoop made one of the biggest full-circle moves out of any rapper in history, by acquiring Death Row Records from NRK Music Group. This means that Snoop is now the owner of Death Row Records, the label that introduced him to the world. The label had gone into bankruptcy in 2006 when its infamous owner and CEO, Suge Knight, lost control of it. In a statement, Snoop said, "I'm thrilled and appreciative of the opportunity to acquire the iconic and culturally significant Death Row Records brand, which has an immense untapped future value." It's one thing for a rapper to buy his former childhood home or a fast food franchise that they used to work at as a kid, but owning the label that broke you to the world is a different type of coming full circle, so shout out to Snoop for making this happen, and it'll be very interesting to see what the future holds for Death Row. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this look at the life and story of Snoop Dogg, then please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments section who you would like to see featured next. Thanks for watching.